Hello, my name is Father Ryan Humphries. I'm very happy to be here with the Catholic Underground Catechast for, Wednesday, for this week. And so our topic this week, of course, is mission. My mission, the church's mission, our mission. You might be shocked to know that I have a 5-year plan. It's thorough. It has lots of bullet points. It has color coding, highlighting. I know it's shocking that Father OCD has a plan for the next day, month, year, 5 years, half decade. But I have a 5-year plan. It's an important part of the way that I keep my sanity together. And while my personal plan is not groundbreaking, it's essential to me to look in and to check in and to see what's going on and to have ideas. And this is everything from my hobbies of music to my skills writing computer software, to my prayer life, to my physical health. All of that stuff is built in. And this helps me to have a structure as I think about the way that I need to live and for making decisions. And in fact, we know that folks who have a 5-year plan are more successful in business. Folks who have a plan are more successful in community projects or committee meetings. We know that a plan, which is just a statement of mission, helps to kind of get it out of our brain where it can be changed at any moment and become something concrete, something real, something that other people can check in on and evaluate. And, that helps significantly our human nature. It's something that the church has done from the very beginning. It sorts out all the stuff we'd love to make happen. And it says, these are the things we're actually going to expend some focus, some attention, and some resources on. For example, the mission of the church. The church would love to see all kinds of different things happen. I have no doubt that the Holy Mother of the Church, our universal church, with Jesus Christ as our head, would love to see puppies be fed, would love to see Hallmark movie downtowns be built all over these United States. I think the church would love to have all sorts of little gondolas making their way through towns and bayous across the United States. I think that the church would love to see all sorts of deeply important religious things happen. The prophecy of Isaiah that we saw at Mass this morning, I think the church would like to see that come true. The church would like to see the blind being given sight. The church would like to see biotechnology advance. There's all kinds of things that there's no question that our Holy Mother of the Church would love to see come about in the world in which we live. But the mission of the church has to cut through the millions of different things that we would love to see happen, and to prioritize those and to expend resources on those and to focus our hearts and minds on those things which are at the core of why Jesus Christ came into the world. And so the mission of the church is not just we want to see good stuff happen. It's that we have to contain within ourselves what it is the Lord wants for us, what the Lord wants for the church, and we need to find a way to structure and to build that in the world in which we live. And as such, since the very earliest days of the church, going back to the 100s AD, since the very earliest days of the church, the mission of the church has been written simply as to save souls. What is the church here to do? To save souls. And everything that contributes to that is the proper work of the church, and everything that has nothing to do with that, good, bad, or in between, is not the proper work of the church. Now, we should make a distinction. The church, meaning the visible body of Jesus Christ, present in the world with Christ as our head and all those properly baptized into her, is structured under our pope, bishops, etc. That structure of the church, the visible church, she has that mission. We, as members of her, have that mission as well, but we also have secondary missions. We also have our own particular purposes. And we kind of make a distinction between ministries, which are things that are called forth from the church, and apostolates, which are things that rise up from the hearts of the laity and contribute to the overall mission of the church, but aren't called forth. So, for example, if the bishop calls one of you and says, "Hi, I need you to run a committee to make something good happen in and around your parish. I need you to run a committee to put up a giant 400-foot tall concrete cross, here on the Mississippi River," that would be a ministry. It may or may not be a good idea, but it's a ministry. If, however, a group of folks get together and say, we want to build a big giant cross right there by the Red River, and they call the bishop and say, is it okay if we do that? And the bishop says, absolutely. That is an apostolate. It seems like a largely meaningless distinction, but when it comes down to the question of mission and purpose, it's worth thinking that they're different, because the purpose of the church really is meant to exclude everything that does not directly contribute to the salvation of souls. But the rest of us, those who are not formally speaking part of the church in terms of the administrative structure, which basically means all lay people, you have missions that go beyond that. Your mission is to save souls, but it's also secondarily to see to the welfare of your family and to see to the welfare of your community and to assist and to do the works of mercy and to be a saint in your community. Each of those things certainly contributes in its own way to the salvation of souls, but it is its own particular mission. And so we have these kind of little distinctions that are worth noting. But again, coming back to the heart of it, the reason that the church exists is to save souls. And so it's to do what's necessary so that folks can come to know Jesus Christ, and through that encounter with Jesus Christ, repent of their sins, be reconciled to God, be received into his church, and then through his church be found worthy to enter into heaven. That's fundamentally the mission of the church. And everything else that happens around that mission matters in various degrees. And it really does. It's not as if everything that is not preaching from the pulpit or absolving sins or celebrating Mass doesn't matter. It's that the things matter in proportion to how directly they do assist with that. And so, for example, a soup kitchen that has no evangelical component at all, a soup kitchen that could be run by the church, or could be run by the Jehovah's Witnesses, could be run by some random group of people in a civil organization, you have to question, does that contribute to the salvation of souls? In the same way, political action for Central Africa may be good, may not be good, but it's not necessarily what the church exists for. Interfaith dialogue may not be what the church exists for. High-quality live streaming isn't necessarily what the church exists for. Trying to make Hallmark movies a reality is not necessarily what the church exists for. All of those things, though, could be in their own way some things that contribute to the church's mission. For example, a soup kitchen can be evangelical. It can be a very, very evangelical thing. Political action to end slavery or abortion could be important in regard to the salvation of souls. Interfaith dialogue with an eye toward helping non-Catholics become Catholic certainly could be assisting souls to be saved. Even a Hallmark type movie, if it had an evangelical component, could draw people toward the church's mission of saving souls. And so the reason that I'm kind of trying to draw these two sides, and there's a lot of overlap, is because everything that we do should in some way contribute to the salvation of souls, and sometimes the vast majority of whether that is true or not is going to come down to my awareness and to my intention. And that's worth thinking about, because the way that we think about our lives and the way that we frame the intentions and the choices that we make, Catholic moral theology tells us, has a lot to do with whether or not what we do is virtuous or whether it's sinful, whether we are to blame for it or whether we are to receive merit, treasure in heaven for it. And so the way that we think matters. And so if we lead our lives, even if we're trying to be good and holy and pious, but we lose sight of the central mission, then we can become detached from nearness to God. We can lose in our spiritual life. The same thing can happen in the church. We've seen this. Anybody here who's over 40 years old has seen that Sunday Mass can become detached from the salvation of souls. And you have Father up here ranting and raving and praising and cheering and making, the Father Ryan show, and everybody out there is clapping and cheering and singing and all this kind of stuff. And we get to the end and we feel fan-freaking-tastic. But have we prayed? It's a real good question. We honestly don't know. And there are a lot of churches where it's a heck of a hoot to come to Sunday Mass, especially Sunday Mass where Father gets to really let loose. But then we stop and say, gosh, I was there for an hour and a half. Father talked an awful lot, but I don't feel like I'm anywhere near or closer to God. And that happens a lot. It's not something that is completely at odds with reality. In fact, the USCCB this week published a big letter. It caused a big stink about how certain hymns are leading people away from faith. There are certain hymns we sing in church. All Are Welcome. I hate All Are Welcome. Is a hymn that we sing in a lot of churches. I mean, probably 2/3 of the churches in the U.S. have sung All Are Welcome at the beginning of Mass. And the bishop said, y'all, that tries to tell people that we don't actually need to believe in Jesus Christ. We don't actually need to practice the faith. All are welcome. And you go, gosh, that's a serious issue. I mean, people are being led astray at Sunday Mass. That's a problem. Right now, there's a huge debate going on because it seems like the president-elect of the United States is a bad Catholic, capital B, capital A, capital D Catholic, who is advocating for abortion and all kind of other stuff. And yet people want to say, but he's a Catholic. And you go, now, hang on a minute. That in and of itself may lead souls away from God. And so we have serious questions to ask about what leads people to heaven and the church's role, which comes down to saving souls, not making people feel welcome, not encouraging or making people feel like we're part of the team, not just making sure we all get along or playing our part in society, but everything we do needs to come back to the salvation of souls. And so even if we think in the church about something like good administration, right? I mean, we have a top-notch secretary here at St. Edward the Confessor in Tallulah. Good administration can be a good thing. It can contribute to the salvation of souls by making sure that people feel like their money is being well spent, by people feeling that we have followed the rules, by making sure that we are in line with civil law, by making sure that we are keeping ourselves in good order and that maintenance is being done. At the same time, good administration could be meaningless. So much of it comes down to keeping in mind why we do what we do. The same thing is true that it's not by accident that the church has thousands of pages of laws and policies and best practices and procedures. Those things are not disconnected from saving souls. The reason we have them is to see to the saving of souls. There are a whole pile of rules that I, as a priest, am expected to follow that go everywhere from how confession works to, no joke, there was in the previous law, although it was removed in 1983, to the fact that I was only allowed to do the waltz if I danced in public, a rule that I've only violated twice since I've been a priest. But there were rules about how priests were not allowed to hunt with dogs. I mean, there was an incredible amount of specificity because the idea was hunting with dogs was seen as a rich people's way of hunting, or dancing, dances that might be inappropriate, maybe lambada, maybe something else, would be scandalous. And so the idea was these rules are oriented toward the salvation of souls, and that's why they exist. I mean, here in my little parish, a lot of our daily activity doesn't immediately seem connected to saving souls. How does debugging our live stream, or fixing our sound system, or blowing leaves off the stoop of the church, or replacing a light socket necessarily contribute to the salvation of souls? But if I think about it right and I intend to do those things in order to make our church function better, that does contribute to the salvation of souls. At the same time, if I come up here and ramble and preach to make myself feel better about my wonderful, incredible oratorical skill, then I'm not assisting anybody. It's not, it's so much of it is a function of intention. I mean, I think even about, over at my house, I have 3 guitars. I have a digital piano. I'm a terrible musician. I've played with some bands. It was a bad decision. I've done some. I'm not a very good singer, as many of you who've watched this live stream know. But when I sit down in a stressful moment, I sit down at my piano. I turn my piano and I begin playing in G minor in the key of E flat. I don't know why. I just always do. And I feel a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And after 10 or 15 minutes, I switch to a major key. And then I pick up my guitar and I play a little bit and I feel better. And after about an hour, I feel fine. That can be meaningless, But if I see those things as an investment in not snapping at a parishioner or in not, just stressing myself out and making my health bad, then those things can contribute to souls. Now, on the same note, I don't want to exactly just come up here and say, I'm going to give you loopholes to make everything in your life fit if you want it to. I mean, I've got a wildly overpriced coffee machine that my mom bought me because she thought that it would be a good, nice gift, and it's hugely overpriced. I'm not getting rid of the coffee machine, but it has nothing to do with saving souls. It's just delicious. So I'm not going to pretend that everything in our lives magically we can loophole in. There are things that don't fit. There are things that are fundamentally mistakes. There are things that are just blessings that we might have because coffee is a good thing. So it's not as if we're trying to just, shoehorn everything in. But what I do want us to think about in terms of the larger mission of the church and in terms of our own individual mission and our own individual vocation is that our intention and the way that we think really does matter. I mean, if we were to ask, what does the Baltimore Catechism say about why God made me? To know him, love him, serve him, and be happy with him forever in heaven. If I think about the decisions that I make in my life in terms of that, does this help me to know the Lord better? Does it help me to love the Lord better? Does it help me to serve the Lord better? Is this getting me nearer to heaven? That is going to change the way that I act, the way that I make choices in my life. And just being aware of that simple little repetition, that little list, has helped a lot of people get closer to the Lord. And so being aware of the church's greater mission and being aware then of our own personal mission, just in these broad strokes, does provide us some real guidance about how we can improve our spiritual lives. I mean, we can pose the same kind of issue when someone has a question. Let's say somebody's watching this stream or someone's here in the church and says, I want to improve my prayer life. And I want to do that by thinking about some new devotional books. And maybe I should pray the rosary more. And maybe I should pray this set of prayers every day. Or maybe I should join the Confraternity of the Brown Scapular. Or maybe I should join the Militia Immaculata. Father, which one of these or all of these do you think I should join to improve my prayer life? I can certainly give specific answers to a lot of those questions. But even beyond specific answers, there's enormous value in simply asking myself, which of those is going to genuinely help me to save souls? Which of those is going to help me to grow in the knowledge and love of God and get nearer to the Lord in heaven? Because if I try to do all of them, that may help me, but it may not. I might be looking for some kind of secret sauce that is, some special way to pray that only priests are told, that everybody else is not allowed to know. But in reality, that even me as the priest is going to basically be just filtering what you're trying to do through what you're trying to accomplish. And so being aware of our intention and being aware of why God made us, for what purpose, that's half the battle. It may be more than half the battle. And when I think, in my own church, what do I need to do? When the first lockdown happened back March 11th, one of our people in my parish came and said, hey, you need to start live streaming right away. And I said, no, I have no interest in live streaming. Bishop Barron is doing a live stream. Father Zulsdorf is doing a live stream. People can watch at least one Mass every day. They don't need to see Mass here. Because I did not think that the investment of several $100s was going to do anything to get anybody nearer to heaven. Just didn't think so. 2 or 3 weeks later, when I realized that the nonsense had begun and was going to continue for the long time, finally the same person came to me again. I invested the money, spent some money, was able to put together a live stream. And as we did that, people began to say, this really helped my spiritual life. It made me feel like I was connected to my church when I felt like I was isolated. It made me feel like I knew the person talking to me. It felt more specific than something generic from a bishop out in California. And so what we do now with all this live streaming is very deliberately to save souls. It's not to make me feel better. It's not to improve the lighting of our church. It's got a very specific set of purposes. And so I want to leave us with that kind of idea, that way of thinking, that when it comes to my life, when it comes to our lives, what we ought to do, how we ought to improve, what the Lord wants from us, that basic intentionality. One, as members of the church, our purpose is to save souls. And that can look different for different folks, but that's our purpose. And then secondarily, it becomes, what is my mission? My mission ultimately is to know, to love, to serve the Lord, and to spend eternity with him forever in heaven. And if I keep those two things at the front of my mind, then that's going to change the way I think. It's going to change the way I decide things. And it's going to provide a real structure to the choices that I make every single day, big and small. And so again, this is not meant to be a long talk. It's not meant to be earth-shattering or to bend the fabric of space and time. But I hope that we kind of can get the idea about how much intention really matters, and about how being aware of our purpose, of our mission, and of our intention can change the entire way that we live our lives. And so that's the big presentation today for the Catholic Underground mission, the church's and mine. The church's mission to save souls, my mission to participate in that, and then to know, love, and serve God and be happy with him forever in heaven. And so I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you again next time on the CU Catechast, and I will see you again next time we have Mass here at beautiful, historic downtown Tallulah, Louisiana, at St. Edward the Confessor Catholic Church. Until next time, I'm Father Ryan Humphries. God bless.